Welcome to Subramani. I hope you've all subscribed and you've clicked on the bell, right? So let me tell you about the kind of people I meet and how I am normally surprised and sometimes shocked. So let's start at the very beginning. We all assume that everybody is here to create wealth, correct? We assume man is a rational animal, so man will economic rational animal, so he will do the following things. He will want to maximize his earning, he will want to minimize his expenses, he will want to minimize legal taxes which he is paying, improve his health, and maximize wealth post inflation and post tax. Correct? This is the safe assumption that we make, that every person will react this way, right? But these assumptions are not always correct. So let me give you some examples of some people that I see. Okay, here is one man with he is living in a big house. His son is abroad, earning very well, and he's given two houses on rent, and his rental income is about 4 lakhs a month. Obviously, he doesn't need all this money, so the balance, he spends something on himself. The remaining becomes a recurring deposit, and that recurring deposit becomes a fixed deposit. That's it. That is his lifestyle, financial planning. He has done only this all his life, which means regularly there are some RDs going on, maybe for about 1.5 lakhs or maybe about 2.5 lakhs. He lives a reasonably good life. So when he goes to meet his son, either his son sends him a J class ticket or he travels J class with his own money. So people traveling international in business class and occasional first class are serious people with serious amount of money. So this man has got serious amounts of money, but when he came to me and when he showed me this, I said, look, just depending on two clients or two tenants to give you 2 lakhs a month. 2 lakhs a month is not bad, and it is also indexed because you will be able to hike it to inflation rates. This is the assumption, right? Come COVID and the land tenants are both talking in terms of there being a slight delay in the rent. No problem, this man has enough interest income, he can live. So when he showed me this, I suggested something very simple. I said your FDs should become mutual funds, which means it should become debt mutual fund, equity mutual fund in the growth option, so that you don't pay so much of tax, because he doesn't need this kind of cash flow. He must be having about 2 crores in bank fixed deposits, which is giving him about 15-16 lakhs of annual income. He doesn't really need that income at all, because his rental income is taking care of his expenses, so that money is unnecessarily coming back, paying tax and going back as fixed deposit. So I suggested changes in his shifting some money to liquid funds, shifting some money to ultra short bond fund, shifting some money to equity fund. And he said, look, it is irrelevant for me because between me and my wife, we don't have too much expenses, and my son is earning an extremely obscene $1 million salary. So really nobody is interested in this. So it's okay for me to pay tax and all that. I agree, but he's just 64 years of age. Look at the risk in his portfolio. He's 64 years of age. He could live another 35 years. I mean, his wife could live another 40 years. She's younger than him. And things could go wrong. The person may not pay rent, or the flat could lie vacant for a longer period of time. Is 2 crores in bank deposit enough? Yes, it is enough. But with every renewal of his, he's seen interest rates come down from about 11% to about 5.45%, which means the interest rate is halved, right? I am not saying it will go down even further, but how do we know that it will not go down even further? So I suggested a shift in portfolio to a more balanced portfolio, and I suggested that he go to an IFA. He had not even heard of an IFA. I mean, I don't know, some people living in Mumbai and live under the rock. So he said, oh, are there people who do these things? I said, yeah, there are people. And since he was living in one of the suburbs of Mumbai, I suggested an IFA closer to his house. So I keep telling people, you're too young. At 65, you're too young in the withdrawal phase that you are. The oldest guy is 95. So compared to him, you're at 64, you're very young. So when you're that young, you need to have some equity and some convenient portfolio. I said by the time you're 70 or 71, I would want you to get rid of the real estate and put everything into assets which you can monitor more easily. Are you going to run around looking for a plumber and a carpenter because something went wrong in a flat? Because by the time he is 70, the flat would be another 6-7 years older. So I said, why would you do all that at this age? So at a particular age, you want certain things. When you're young, you want growth, then you want stability. At the age of 70 or 72, you want simplicity. You want all your money to be in annuities and bank deposits, which are easy to understand, right? So I told him that you need to reduce the complexity of your portfolio of chasing tenants and collecting rent and all those kind of things. Then there are expenses. I met one more couple and who thought he had a lot of money in 1999. Now this is very interesting. In 1999, he thought he had a lot of money with 1.25 crores in provident fund and bank deposits, and he thought he will get about 12 to 14% interest, which he was getting at that stage. But then he paid taxes on all that, and now his corpus, when that time his corpus of 89 lakhs, we thought it would pull him through. But I thought he had spent a little more money on his lifestyle, car, driver, vacations, etc., without worrying or even planning for longevity of the corpus. That meant right then he should have had a mixture of equity, some tax-free bonds, and which were tax-free bonds. I remember not very long ago were paying about 9%. So 9% tax-free is a huge thing which he could have done. They were available right up to 2014, right? Not very far away, 3-4 years ago. So money has to be managed well. So just because you think that it is a huge amount, in 1999, 1.25 crores was huge. But today you have brought it down to 89 lakhs because you have withdrawn from your capital. That's fine, but still, that time you were 60, in 99 you were 60, now you are 80, and but you would still live another 20 years. So will 89 lakhs be sufficient for another 20 years for a couple? I have my doubts. Especially if all of that is kept in 5%, then maybe right now you will dip into your capital. If you start dipping into your 89 lakh capital, it cannot last you 20 years. So if you don't dip into the capital, the answer, if you were getting 10% return and you were getting about 9 lakhs and your expenses were under 9 lakh, I would still think that you might get away with it for some more time, but not adjusting for inflation. This amount does not look good, especially for a person who had a reasonably high standard of living. The third case is of a overqualified, over-educated scientist who could write books on investing, also could write a book on risk, but in his portfolio he had all the alpha, Sharpe ratio, etc., but he was just not putting enough money in equities. He was just not putting enough. I mean, you can't do a 5,000 rupee SIP and hope to create a corpus, right? So he had some debt funds, and many of those funds he had dividend option. He had no clue why he had a dividend option. He swore by the fact that after retirement he shifted everything to the dividend option without even understanding the implication, the new taxation, nothing he understood. But he thought he understood markets, he knew how to pick up stocks, etc. But his own portfolio was in such a bad shape. But believe me, in his family circles, he is considered to be an advisor and he tells people what to do with their money. That is scary.